From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight.
Hello and welcome. I'm Ladi Williams. Tonight's zonal public hearing for the review of the 1999 constitutions as amended holds in the Southwest and South-South regions. Top of the agenda, state creation, establishment of special seats for women. Suspended Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Uduaghan, drops a hint. She says she'll return to the Senate on Tuesday next week. And the African Democratic Congress tackles President Bola Tinubu, describes his recent appointment as a desperate attempt to buy back the trust they have squandered in the northern region. And dozens killed by Israeli gunfire near 8 sites in southern Gaza.
And on business, federal, state, and local governments share 1.82 trillion naira as June revenue.
On sports news tonight, the boxing world is set for another explosive chapter in the heavyweight division as Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois square off in their highly anticipated rematch tonight. And in continuation of the ongoing zonal public hearing of the 1999 Constitution Review, the House of Representatives Committee in charge has assured representatives of Lagos, Ogun, and Oyo that they will look into all documentation submitted. The chairman, Southwest Center, Isiaka Ayokunle, said the committee is determined to deliver on its assignment and will not disappoint Nigerians.
It's the second zonal public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution holding in Lagos State. This time, the House of Representatives is engaging Southwest Center A, comprising Lagos, Ogun, and Oyo States, to ensure broader participation of citizens.
As we move forward, our goal is to ensure that this review reflects the diverse aspirations of our people and upholds the principles of justice and equity. We are dedicated to ensuring that this process is transparent and that all stakeholders remain informed and engaged every step of the way. The only thing that will not be taken away from here is what is not submitted.
The special seats bill for women inclusion in governance, creation of Ibadan State, special status for Lagos State are part of the issues brought up at the public hearing.
This bill that seeks to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by specifically providing for seat reservations for women in both the national and state houses of assembly is important because if it passed, it will set Nigeria on a trajectory of inclusive development and accelerated progress.
It is very important that we focus on the next generation between the ages of 0 and 18, because we will affect the world, the entire world, by 2025, by 2050. By 2050, in 25 years' time, we will affect the rest of the world. Not only Nigeria, not only the African continent, but the rest of the world.
We are pleading for special status for Lagos State. We are pleading for the Constitution to be amended to take care of the interests of the traditional rulers. We are pleading that our local government, the 37 SCPA, be included in the Constitution.
A summarized compendium of bills before the House of Representatives is also brought to the fore.
There's a bill that deals with having states for the physically challenged. In addition, there are reforms concerning electoral reform, judicial reforms, devolution of powers to the states, local government autonomy, and so on and so forth. Proposals being considered with respect to electoral reforms include the conducting of general elections in one single day. That will be unprecedented if that bill is passed, and will foster having certainty within 24, 48 hours of elections being conducted.
The Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Kadri Hamzat, says the Constitution is the foundation of Nigeria's democracy, which must accommodate everyone's interest, including the creation of state police and the listing of LCDAs in the Constitution.
The judgment on local government that we went was 1,401 pages. Just the judgment. I'm not talking about the preambles. And what did the Supreme Court said? You have followed the laws. Because Lagos cannot list, it is therefore incoded. And therefore, so what we are asking is that those 37 LCDAs, we have given birth to them since 2020. They are 24 years, 25 years old. Can you have children that is 25 years and you don't give them birth certificate? So let us get our birth certificate.
Representatives of state assemblies present their documents, which unanimously back all requests made, and the House of Representatives Committee on the 1999 Constitution Review assures all stakeholders of looking into all submissions for the benefit of all Nigerians.
A senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Natasha Uduaghan, stated that she'll resume at the Senate on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025, in line with the judgment of the court, despite the appeal by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Senator Uduaghan, who was in her constituency on an empowerment program, says even though her suspension did not stop her from working for her constituency, it hampered a major part of her responsibilities, which is to sponsor bills and motions on the floor of the Senate. She says a letter has been sent to the Senate regarding her desire to resume on Tuesday.
I identify the problems and the challenges of my community, and I make sure I present them and have them captured in the federal budget. And I have done pretty well with that. Of course, I do miss following up with my bills there, but it didn't stop me from working. But I have pretty much 2 months more before the 6 months expire. However, I have written to the Senate again, telling them that I'm resuming on the 22nd, which is on Tuesday, by the special grace of God. I will be there to resume because the court did make a decision on that. Now, they argue that it's an order. It's not an order, but it is a decision. And if you look at Section 318, I think, of the Nigerian Constitution, it did mention that a recommendation forms part of a decision of the court. So whether it's a recommendation, a judicial decree, a sentence or an order, they are all decisions, and decisions are binding on every Nigerian and every authority and every institution. So I'm going to be there live to attend. But I also know that the Senate will be going on recess very soon, maybe most likely next week for 2 months. That means by the time the Senate resumes, my 6 months would have lapsed. And I will go back. I will resume. And I don't hope there will be any more resistance, because you can't apply you can't go against what is called double jeopardy rule, whereby you punish someone twice. So after the 6 months, you now go back to court or do extend or whatever. No, that will amount total abuse of power, which of course I do sense an abuse of power already. But that's for the courts and the public to judge.
And to politics now, Nigeria's main opposition party, that's the People's Democratic Party, is navigating a tumultuous phase marked by significant defections, including high-profile members like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who recently resigned from the party. The exodus of prominent members of the party to the ruling All Progressives Congress and the African Democratic Congress has sparked concerns about the party's future, particularly ahead of the 2027 general elections. Our next report is an analysis of recent developments within the PDP and the prospect it holds for the party in 2027.
Nigeria's main opposition party, PDP, has been plagued by internal power struggles, leading to factionalism, which is almost eroding its foundation in key strongholds across the country. The troubles of the PDP began a decade ago when in 2014, some prominent members of the party, including former Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki, former Governor of Sokoto State, Senator Aminu Tambuwal, former Governor of Kaduna State, Mr. Nasiru El-Rufai, joined former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, defect to the then opposition party, the All Progressives Congress. One of the consequences of those defections was the loss of political power at the center to the APC in 2015.
And you said there is order from above. What is the order from above?
Since 2015, the PDP has not known peace as it transits from one internal crisis to the other. Although majority of those who defected in 2014 returned to the party before the 2023 general election, the PDP continues to grapple with leadership crisis. Between 2016 and now, the PDP had suffered 4 major leadership crises, which has affected the fortunes of the party in general elections. First was the Ali Modu Sheriff and Ahmed Makarfi's crisis that lasted from 2016 to 2017, and from 2017 to 2021, Mr. Uche Secondus managed the affairs of the party until, like his predecessor, internal leadership struggles forced him out in 2021. Senator Iyorchia Ayu assumed office 2 years before the 2023 general election, but was forced out in March 2023. Since then, Umar Damagum has continued to serve as the PDP acting national chairman. However, under his leadership, the PDP has faced serious mass defection. Internal wrangling has cost the PDP some of its prominent members, including serving and former lawmakers, governors, and most recently, the PDP's 2019 and 2023 presidential candidate, Mr. Atiku Abubakar.
Do you know that before he came back to PDP, he was in APC? Is that so? He was in APC. He came to PDP to look for ticket. We gave him the ticket. Now, he wants to go to another party to be given ticket. So I don't think, personally, I don't rate him as a party man. He is just somebody who always wants to get ticket from a platform.
Notwithstanding the mass exodus from the PDP, some members of the party are optimistic about the party's fortunes in the forthcoming 2027 general elections.
Election 2027 is not going to be about defection of parties. It's about the Nigerian people against APC and its policies that have reduced them into nothing, that have caused them so much pain, and families are being dislocated, people are being killed on a daily basis. Looks like new normal. And we have a president who, in the heat of all of this, carries on as nothing's happened.
Like every other political party, their survival hinges on its ability to address internal crises, build cohesion, and connect with its grassroots. While the PDP faces significant challenges, its enduring strength at a local level and the time available before the 2027 general election provides some opportunities for recovery and rejuvenation.
Well, the All Progressives Congress, the APC, and the African Democratic Congress have concluded their primaries for the Anambra South Senatorial District by-elections scheduled for August 16, 2025. Azuka, of course, has emerged as the APC candidate, while Donald Amambo has been nominated unopposed as the ADC candidate after 2 other aspirants stepped down for him. Mr. Okwuosa secured 470 votes out of the 594 votes cast by delegates to the primary poll, with 22 votes declared invalid. Mr. Okwuosa appreciates the party's leadership and vows to deliver impactful leadership to the senatorial district. He also expresses confidence in the party's ability to reclaim the mandate in Anambra South. In his acceptance speech, the senatorial candidate, Mr. Mangos, assures that Anambra South Senatorial District will benefit greatly from his representation, promising to be proactive on issues concerning the district, as well as champion a bold, people-centered legislative agenda if elected. And the African Democratic Congress has described the recent announcement of appointment by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as desperate, cynical attempt to buy back the trust that he has squandered in the region. A statement signed by the party's interim national publicity secretary, Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi, describes the appointment as nothing more than political panic management and a frantic attempt to bandage the gaping wounds inflicted on northern Nigeria by President Tinubu-led administration. The statement accuses the government of turning a blind eye to terrorist and bandit attacks in the region, a development it says has crumbled rural economies in northern Nigeria. The statement concludes by urging the Tinubu administration to abandon what it describes as borderland-style appeasement politics and embrace real national inclusion through consultation, policy equity, and sincere federal character. And in part two, after the break, lawyers in Lagos raised concern about the falling standards of legal practice and where to put the blame. Join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us at this point, you're watching the News at 10, broadcasting live from Lagos. Top reminder now of our top stories. Earlier, zonal public hearing for the review of the 1999 Constitution as amended holds in Southwest and South-South regions. Top on the agenda, state creation and establishment of special seats for women. Suspended Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Uduaghan, she drops a hint, says she'll return to the Senate on Tuesday next week. And the African Democratic Congress tackles President Bola Tinubu, describes his recent appointment as a desperate attempt to buy back the trust they squandered in the region. And dozens killed by Israeli gunfire near 8 sites in southern Gaza. The South-South public hearing of the House of Representatives Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution ended with a resounding call for the creation of new states. Speaking in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, the host state, the Deputy Governor, Peter Ode, stressed that the Constitution must reflect the contemporary realities and expectations of the people. He urged committee members to place the interests and voices of the people at the heart of their recommendations.
The venue for the South-South Center B public hearing in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, is filled with stakeholders from 3 southern states, Cross River, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom, eager to make their voices heard in ongoing review of the 1999 Constitution. Addressing participants, the governor, who was represented by his deputy, Peter Ode, reiterated the need for inclusiveness in the review process to ensure that all groups are reflected in the governance framework.
As we carry out this noble national assignment, I urge you to place the voices of interest of the people at the center of their work. Let this hearing be a true platform for civil expression, one that upholds the fundamental democratic principle that government derives its legitimacy, not from process of government, but indeed from the people that they govern.
The committee chairman, Honorable Chinda Ogundu, assured participants that every submission would be considered and reflected in the final report to be presented before the National Assembly.
The committee has no opinion so far on any of the areas. The House of Representatives holds no opinion so far on any of the issues that we have enumerated. The moment the documents and your contributions are presented to us, we are going to take it to the larger house. It will be properly deliberated and made to go through the lawmaking process.
Top on the list of demands is the creation of more seats for women and the establishment of new states.
The proposed Oyo State, comprising 8 local government areas in Akwa Ibom, 7 in Akwa Ibom and 1 in River State. The Oro Obolo people have a long history of engagement in coastal trade and safe seafaring commerce with their maritime sector, poised to drive economic growth and development. We are saying that this state we are talking about is economically viable. The state has a land mass of 10,000 square kilometers. Our population is about 1.3 million and above. So, considering the criteria required for state creation, we are qualified.
Federal and state officials, political stakeholders, civil society groups, professional bodies, and traditional institutions praised the House Committee and expressed optimism that their demands will be captured in the final draft of the report.
And a former Minister of Power, Works and Housing and the former Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, stated that it's unrealistic to expect local governments in Nigeria to function independently under the existing constitutional framework. Speaking in our Saturday breakfast show, Sunwise, Mr. Fashola argued that legislative and land use powers vested in state governments effectively undermine the autonomy of local councils.
He puts a lie, a big lie, to the story making the rounds about 8 weeks ago that Nigeria was going to become a one-party state. So he puts a lie to that. Because there is an opposition of some quality, whatever that quality may be. The second point to make is that it is a manifestation of a right to choose, a freedom of choice, a freedom to associate, and one must respect that, as I do. Gathering ourselves together and saying we want to change Nigeria, we want to remake Nigeria, is all very well and good. What is the compelling alternative message? So that without a manifesto, without a program of action, I can't speak to how persuasive the coalition will be. But there's still a distance to run. I have said that I am waiting to see a plan of action. Nigerians are going to have a say in what happens post this thing. And you see, elections, I see elections as competitive sports. And in competitive sports, you must respect your opponent. And I have respected the opponent, the adversary. But fear is not a strategy to engage an opponent. As it stands today, it is unrealistic to expect autonomy for local governments created by the Constitution. They were not meant to be autonomous. That is my view. If you look at the legal and ordinary meaning of the word autonomy, it suggests that you are acting independently without any outside influence and authority. And to that extent, a State House of Assembly making laws for what and how a local government can function is in itself an external influence that contradicts the idea of autonomy.
And to other matters now, the Kaduna State Police Command has banned a planned rally by supporters of the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, in celebration of his birthday. According to the command, intelligence information revealed that certain criminal elements are planning to hijack the rally, using it as a platform to cause disruption, incite violence, and disturb public peace. According to the command, all forms of political rallies and public gatherings of similar nature remain suspended until the official commencement date for such activities as stipulated by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The primary elections by political parties are scheduled to hold on the same date as the OB supporters rally, and the State Police Command notes that their march will disrupt several areas designated for the conduct of party primaries. The command has advised the organizers to suspend any gathering or procession to ensure public safety. And the Nigeria Customs Service has intercepted 16 containers loaded with illegal pharmaceuticals and smuggled goods worth over 20 billion naira at the Onne port in River State. At a press briefing in Port Harcourt, the Controller General of Customs, Mr. Bashir Adeni, revealed that the contraband were concealed under regular items such as tomato paste, plumbing materials, and vehicle parts. He said the seizure, which is one of the largest in recent years, reinforces efforts by security agencies to protect Nigerians from harmful substances and organized smuggling networks, made possible through intelligence-led operations in collaboration with NAFDAC, NDLEA, and other security agencies.
Understanding that was signed between Nigeria Customs Service and NAFDAC, and in furtherance to the pursuit of national health and the removal of unregulated pharmaceutical products, illicit drugs from Nigeria. I, Bashir Adeni, Controller General of Customs, hereby hand over 11 containers of illicit pharmaceutical products to NAFDAC for further agency work.
And the NAFDAC Director General, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, praised customs for the interception and assured them that all seized products would undergo strict laboratory tests.
The consignments being officially handed over to NAFDAC today comprises food items, specifically tomato paste, that were brought in disguise and concealment of pharmaceutical products. This was imported without necessary regulatory approvals from unauthorized sources and suspected to be unwholesome and unfit for human consumption. Today is a reminder that food safety, drug safety, medical devices safety, name them, is a shared responsibility. And through strong institutional cooperation, such as what we are observing today, we will continue to build a safer and healthier nation.
On this note, it is my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to hand over a key to the Armored Personnel Carrier, APC, not APC Party. This is APC, Armored Personnel Carrier.
As part of efforts targeted at improving the security architecture of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde has presented 6 newly upgraded armored personnel carriers to the Oyo State Police Command, stressing his administration's commitment to enhancing the security and well-being of residents. He gave assurances that his administration would continue to secure lives and properties, noting that the refurbishment of the armored personnel carriers demonstrated a further commitment to safety in the state. The governor, who was represented by his deputy, Abdurrahim Lawal, presented the items to the police and the governor's office car park secretariat in Agodi, Ibadan to boost effectiveness within the command's operations.
This APC is another dimension to enhancing the security of the environment. We may pride ourselves as one of the few states in Nigeria that are paying attention to the security of our state. These facilities, APC, they come at a lot of cost to the state government. We are not leaving security to federal government alone. We know that once our environment is secured, we would, as he put it, go back to our homes with our eyes closed where we want to sleep.
I'm so elated, I'm so excited. And like I said before, I want to appreciate Oyo State government, particularly His Excellency Governor Seyi Makinde, for this kind gesture. I said it once before now, that our state governor is one of the most security governors in this country. I've served in several states of the country, and I said that with the exception of Lagos State, where the State Security Council, Trust Fund is taking care of all these things, this is a state where the governor is directly involved in security issues, funding security. Coming to the APC donated to us today, 6 of them, this is massive. It is going to enhance our operation. It is going to help our battle against kidnapping, banditry, armed robbery, and all forms of vices. With this in our hands, with this in our possession, security will be beefed up in the state. Residents can be rest assured of their safety, and I can assure them they can afford to go to bed and sleep with their 2 eyes closed.
Still with security matters, in Kaduna State, the police have arrested a 34-year-old suspected bandit kingpin, Mati Bagyo, after 11 years of being trailed by security agencies. In a statement, spokesman of the Kaduna State Police Command, DSP Mansur Hassan, said the suspect, a resident of Ungoan Galadima in Shika district of Giwa local government area, led a criminal gang that terrorized communities across Kaduna and Katsina states for years. According to the police, Bagyo was said to have carried out multiple attacks in Giwa, Unkuyi, Faskari, Dandume, and Funtua local government areas of Kaduna and Katsina states before he was eventually arrested. The statement disclosed that the police recovered a cache of sophisticated firearms, ammunition, a stolen Toyota Prado SUV, and 2 motorcycles during the operation. And still ahead on the news at 10, federal, state, and local governments share 1.82 trillion naira as June revenue. That's on business. Join us again. Welcome back to watching News at 10. To other stories now, Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State has flagged off the disbursement of conditional cash transfers to 8,225 adolescent girls across the state. The governor explains that the initiative is part of efforts to promote inclusive education and reduce the number of out-of-school girls in the state. He flagged off the event in Gusau, the state capital.
The Zamfara state government is collaborating with development partners to improve girl-child education in the state. Access to education remains a major challenge for adolescent girls in Zamfara state and across northern Nigeria. Issues such as poverty, early marriage, insecurity, gender-based barriers, among others, have forced many girls out of the classroom, limiting their future prospects. The Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment project seeks to address these challenges by providing both financial and infrastructural support to encourage school enrollment, retention, and completion among girls, especially those from poor households.
Today's symbolic disbursement of the Community Recovery Fund, CRF, to 500 beneficiaries across Gusau, Bungudu, and Orenamo, the local government, marks a strategic investment in resilience, focusing on sustainable agriculture, environmental restoration, and community-led development.
Governor Dauda Lawal, while speaking at the event, said the disbursement of conditional cash transfers to over 8,000 secondary school girls is part of his administration's broader efforts to strengthen education, promote social inclusion, and empower vulnerable populations across the 14 local government areas of the state.
This disbursement of this fund today represents a strategic shift that empowers communities to take charge of their development through resilience and accountability. I urge all beneficiaries to use the resources wisely, transparently, fully understanding that this trust must result in visible as well as measurable transformation.
The event also included symbolic presentations to beneficiaries of the Agroclimatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes project, targeting environmental sustainability, rural livelihoods, and climate resilience.
All right, to infrastructure now. The federal government has commenced the construction of a road network linking Sardana local government area in Taraba State with the Republic of Cameroon. A visit to the site of the project by Governor Abu Keffi came with a sigh of relief and excitement.
The road construction spanning 35 kilometers from Gembu, the headquarters of Sardauna local government area of Taraba State, to Lip Village, a border community between Nigeria and the Republic of Cameroon, is sponsored by the federal government to enhance bilateral relationship between the two countries. The road project, which is estimated to cost over 70 billion naira, will be a rigid pavement using concrete.
It's a project that is awarded for 30 months. So far, if you take from January 13th to this period, it's just less than about 6 months thereabout. And they've already achieved more than 16% of the project piece, with a time lapse of less than 15%. It's a rigid pavement, which is a concrete road. And we trust that we'll see how it goes too.
Yes, no.
Governor Abu Keffi is leading a delegation from the state government to inspect the ongoing construction work.
coming in here today and I've seen what they have done, at least temporarily, to be able to keep the project on, to get to the completion. I have every confidence that they will give the best.
The roads and the rivers were considered as death traps for commuters, forcing students from Nigeria to go to the Republic of Cameroon to study.
The significance of this particular road to our area, one, it has opened our area for international business, bilateral relationship between Nigeria and Cameroon, and also it has given our people the sense of belonging.
It's going to link not just the Mambila Plateau or Sardauna local government or Taraba State to Cameroon, but it's going to be a major link between Nigeria and Cameroon. With the funding that the president gave, we were so happy that this is one road in this country that has experienced one of the fastest construction.
In terms of economic benefits, even now, most of our business here will link with Cameroon. So immediately this road is open, we will have access to all the international business with Cameroon.
The governor is urging the construction firm to construct schools in the area as its corporate social responsibility to discourage Nigerian children from attending schools in Cameroon.
And in Nasarawa State, some residents of Keffi are blaming structural defects as a cause of the tragic incident on the flyover bridge which collapsed on Thursday, claiming 2 lives and injuring 2 people. Speaking to Channels Television, the residents say the collapsed part of the bridge had been cracked for a while without being given the necessary attention. They also expressed concern about the safety of the other parts of the bridge and urged the government to enforce stricter regulations on heavy-duty vehicles. Our correspondent, Victoria Longjohn, reports.
This bridge in Keffi, Nasarawa State, links Kaduna, Jos, Kano, and other northwestern states. A beam from one of the sections of the bridge was reported to have collapsed on Thursday night, claiming 2 lives and injured 2 persons. A visit to the scene 2 days later after the tragic incident shows that the collapsed bridge has been cordoned off. The older section of the bridge is still being used by commuters, and the collapsed beam a relaxing spot for street traders. Eyewitnesses say 2 of the victims have been buried and the injured were taken to the Federal Medical Center in Keffi. On arrival at the hospital, Channels TV was not granted access. Speaking to Channels Television, some residents blamed the incidents on structural defects on the bridge and raised concerns on the safety of commuters.
On the slab, the concrete cover was not enough. That is why you are seeing some of the minor cracks on the bridge. People are passing on up, people are passing under. It's more dangerous to people that are passing under, because as that slab fails, we don't know the next.
When looking at the road, the bridge, on top of the bridge, the road is not balanced anymore. One side is up, one side is down. So any motorist that is passing there is not safe.
They are also urging for stricter regulations on heavy-duty vehicles.
The loading system of this vehicle, it has to be checkmated. You don't just carry anything and then be flying on the road. Look at this road here from Nasarawa down to this place, so from Abad getting to Keffi here. It has spoiled because the kind of vehicle that passes here and the kind of loading system, the load is too much. This kind of load is supposed to be on the train, not on just this kind of tracks, this our flexible pavement. It's not supposed to be like that.
The Honorable Minister, sir.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Works has ordered an investigation into the exact cause of the incident to forestall a future occurrence.
Some of the beams of the flyover at Keffi has been destroyed. In fact, I saw one totally knocked down. totally knocked down and is on the floor. And that on its own stopped the traffic flow. When you check, which is what the Ministry of Works is doing, how many of the beams are affected. But the directive will be for PAM Secretary to direct an emergency evaluation of the remaining beams.
The minister adds that if the beams on the second carriageway are also found to be compromised, the entire bridge will be shut down. From Abuja, Victoria Longchan, Channels Television News.
And the Kaduna State Ministry of Environment has commenced massive desilting of rivers and drainages across the 23 local government areas of the state as part of efforts to mitigate flooding in identified flashpoints. This follows early warnings by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, which listed Kaduna among the states likely to experience heavy downpour, flash floods and windstorm this rainy season. During an inspection of the ongoing dredging of rivers at the Thira and Igabi local government, the State Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Abubakar Buba, says the state government has identified vulnerable flashpoints for urgent intervention.
The rains are here, and Kaduna State is one of the states listed to be at high risk of flooding by the Nigeria Hydrological Service Agency. The state government is taking proactive steps to avert any flood disaster by embarking on massive desilting of rivers and drainages across the state. The exercise involves the drainage of River Kaduna and other water bodies in Igabi, Zaria and Kafanchan, spanning nearly 800 meters of the rivers.
Out of the magnanimity of His Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, Senator Obasani, he called on all the stakeholders to sit and engage ourselves so that we will do everything possible to reduce or to stop the possibilities of Kaduna State having to experience flooding.
To find out that most of these farmland are being flooded with water. So what I'm seeing now, it has shown the commitment of these relevant agencies in terms of preventive measures, because one of the component of disaster management is prevention.
The dredging is jointly supervised by the Kaduna State Ministry of Environment, the Agroclimatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes, National Emergency Management Agency, the State Emergency Management Agency, and the National Orientation Agency.
We sincerely appreciate the governor for constructing this drainage in our community. It is for the development of the community. Before the construction, road users usually get stuck on this road that is also leading to the airport.
We appreciate the Commissioner and Senator Obasani, the Governor of Kaduna State, for his sympathy and kindness toward us, for constructing this drainage for us so as to allow free flow of water under the bridge, especially for road user to the airport.
While appealing to residents to avoid any practice that will lead to the blocking of water channels, the Kaduna State government says it has established a mobile court under the State Environmental Protection Authority to try offenders caught dumping refuse in drainages and water channels.
And now to legal matters. Lawyers have been speaking about the falling standards of legal practice and where to put the blame. While some say that senior lawyers deserve a large chunk of the blame, many others believe that the decline requires a multi-pronged solution, from the admission process in law schools to the quality of law graduates churned out, mentorship at the bar with the seniors setting good examples, and institutions correcting and regulating without fear or favor. These were some of the views shared at the Alao Basharu Memorial Lecture, which held recently in Lagos in honor of a late past president of the Nigerian Bar Association. Our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shoyele, has the report.
As part of activities to celebrate the Law Week of the Nigerian Bar Association Ikeja branch,
These lawyers have gathered here in Lagos to celebrate a former president of the bar, the late Alawa Kabashorun, who was outstanding for his moral authority, charisma, and for speaking truth to power, even during the military regime. The memorial lecture in his honor had the theme, "The Fall in the Standard of the Legal Profession, Who Do We Blame?" The keynote speaker, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Professor Keffi Pineru, noted that the profession is at a crossroads where the very pillars that uphold it are being threatened by modern pressure, systemic lapses, and internal complacency.
It appears that lawyers are, some of us are in the erroneous belief that filing a suit is for the purpose of just delaying somebody's other person's entitlement for a civil right. We also feel that when we have to defend any suit, our interest is to elongate the suit. It appears that we have misconstrued that litigation is all about dispute resolution.
While some speakers on the panel laid the blame at the foot of senior members of the bar, others said it was a collective blame, which requires multi-pronged solutions.
I think that what is happening to us is just a summary of what's happening within the system. Everybody here, we are lawyers. We are talking about fall in standards. The regulatory authority that guides the profession, all of them, lawyers.
I think that the problem, the blame, who do we blame, is our institutions. We have weak institutions. The judiciary is an institution. NGS is an institution. The bar is an institution. And if you have a strong institution, even when you have same people in those institutions that are not up to the task, the institution would weed them off.
From the Gen Z who wear sneakers to court, to the principal in the office, to the judicial officer who is sitting and expecting someone to come and pay homage before they can put a judgment in your favor. Be it senior lawyers, be it younger lawyers, we have a responsibility not only to speak, but to preach what we say.
And let's start with the universities. So universities are admitting too many people into the profession without recourse to the other stages that they have to pass before they get into the profession. So it's the root that's causing the issues at the top.
We need to know that as noble people, we should hold it as a priority for all of us to stand up for the bar and get the bar out of this grip.
These solutions are by no means exhaustive, but the consensus is that the time to begin to act is now, so the bar can go back to the good old days of Alawa Kabashorun, fearless, principled, and full of integrity. Shola Shoyele, Channels Television News.
All right, let's find out what's happening in the world of business. Willie Bong has the details.
Thank you, Ladi. On the federal government, states and local councils are shared 1.81 trillion naira as June 2025 revenue at the monthly FAC meeting in Abuja. The distributed sum included 1.01 trillion naira in statutory revenue, 631.5 billion naira from VAT, 29.2 billion from electronic transfer levy, 38.8 billion naira from exchange difference, and 100 billion naira from non-mineral augmentation. From the allocation, the federal government received 645.38 billion naira, states got 607.42 billion naira, local governments 444.85 billion naira, and 120.786 billion naira was shared as 13% derivation to all producing states, while companies' income tax, petroleum profit tax, and electronic money transfer levy rose. Revenue from value-added tax, import and excise duties, and all royalties dropped. Now, reactions are trailing the joint dismissal claims by Femi Otedola and the federal government involving 323 billion naira share acquisition in FBN Holdings, First Old Co. Speaking on our capital market program, the managing director and CEO of Arthur Stevens Asset Management, Mr. Olatunde Amolegbe, says off-market deals are normal and the First Old Co shares were executed in line with market regulation.
So it's confirmed that the deal actually happened. The parties, i.e. the stockbrokers that consummated the deal on both the buying and the selling side, were announced, and the quantity was also announced. So it's confirmed, it's sealed, the deal happened. Now, regarding who is on the buying hand and who is on the selling hand, I guess that is where the complications regarding stories and rebuttals had to come in. And you know, as operators, we can only rely on what is official. And really what is official is the communication by the bank itself to say that this is the person that bought, and this is the quantity of shares that was bought, and at this particular trade. Now, all the other stories around it as to whether the federal government is involved or Mr. Otedola is involved, really we can't delve into that. We can only rely on the official communication which came from the bank, which, by the way, is their statutory responsibility to do. It's part of the rules they signed, that as a listed company, to release information as to who is doing deals that is above a particular percentage, I believe 5%. And the bank has released that official communication to say, this is the gentleman that did this, that was on the buying side, and these are the investors on the selling side, and we just take that at face value.
From off-market deals, let's check in on the NGX, which we see the all-share index rising to close in bullish territory this week, up again over 4% to 131,585.66 points, while market cap gained 3.4 trillion naira to hit 83.25 trillion naira, with the rally trading volume and value increase showing big investor sentiment with more deals this week. Now we see industrials-led sector gains up 19.17%, followed by banking up 5.36%. The laggard for the week is the oil and gas and insurance counter, with the likes of Universal Insurance, Consolidated, Hallmark Insurance PLC down for the week. Top traded equities included First Old Co PLC, FCMB Group PLC, and Fidelity Bank PLC, showing strong investor interest throughout the week. Let's look at the NASD index now. That's the unlisted markets. It also rose 1.62% to 3,488.74 points, with the market cap steady at 2.04 trillion naira. Trading activity surged as volume jumped 498% to 127.39 million, and value rose 198% to 434.56 million naira across 78 deals. Top gainers included Central Securities Clearing System PLC, Food Concepts, Okitipupa Oil Palm PLC, while Aecon Petroleum PLC was a top decliner, shedding 9.77%. Most traded stocks were Okitipupa PLC, Priceline Campina Wamco, and Central Securities Clearing System, reflecting strong investor focus on key blue chip and financial assets. And that's business news. It's back now to Kelly Agiga for highlights from the world of sports.
Many thanks indeed, Will. Time to talk sports. Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has announced the full payment of 201 million naira in long-standing sign-on fee owed to Kwara United players and coaches. This significant payment clears the salary backlog stretching back 16 years, demonstrating his administration's commitment to repositioning sports and prioritizing welfare. The announcement was made at a reception in Lawrence for athletes who represented the states at the 2024 National Sports Festival in Oyo State.
This gathering is symbolic in many ways. It's a show of gratitude to all our athletes who won medals or represented Kwara State at the last sports festival in Oyo State. We have organized this to acknowledge, celebrate, and reassure these athletes and the future champions that the state and its people appreciate them. Beyond our unprecedented infrastructure upgrade, we have also doubled down on the welfare of athletes and officials. Today, I'm glad to announce the full payment of outstanding 201 million sign-on fees owed Kwara United players and coaches, dating back to 16 years. This again underscores our commitment to the welfare of all, including our athletes and coaches.
Well, let's take you now to a breaking story as Ukrainian's Alexander Usyk has enhanced his status among boxing greats with a convincing fifth-round knockout victory over IBF champion Daniel Dubois of Britain. Usyk dominated in the highly contested rematch at the Wembley Stadium in London to win the unification bout. Usyk is now in possession of the IBF, WBA, WBC and WBO heavyweight titles and remains undefeated. Football now. South Africa's Bayana have progressed to the semi-finals of the Women's Cup of Nations after beating Senegal 4-1 on penalties. With this win, SA have set up a blockbuster clash in the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Elsewhere, Ghana defeated Algeria 4-2 on penalties after a goalless draw to set up a semi-final with the host Morocco. And that's sports. I'm Kelly Egiga. It's back to Ladi. Thanks, Kelly. Well, now to stories outside our shores. At least 32 Palestinians seeking food have been killed by Israeli gunfire near two aid distribution points close to Khan Yunis and Rafah in southern Gaza. That's according to the territory's Hamas-run health ministry, which adds that dozens were also injured at the two sites run by controversial U.S. and Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, GHF. The GHF said there were no incidents at or near their site, that there had been Israel Defense Forces as activity there hours before their sites. And now the Palestinian Ministry of Health said a number of bodies were taken to nearby Nasser Hospital this morning. There are also almost daily reports of Palestinians being killed while seeking aid since the GHF began operations in late May. And the main news again, the zonal public hearing for the review of the 1999 Constitution as amended held today in the Southwest and South-South regions. Top on the agenda were issues of special status for Lagos and state creation and the establishment of special seats for women. Also today, the suspended senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Uduaghan, dropped a hint, said she'll resume at the Senate on Tuesday next week. And that's it on the News at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye-bye.